I know Pat, Drake, and I all have, huge experiences where, for in whatever situation, nature has just really humbled us from one thing or another, whether it be weather or wildlife or just a variety of different things. And kind of to go along with that is just that the act of kind of being humble as part of a group. Right now we're all living in really close quarters, 3 people to a tent or 2 people to a tent, it gets cozy, and all those things, and cooking together and hiking together, and we're all just part of this team, part of this group, and I know Sheena and Liz, you guys knew each other coming into this, but everyone else was strangers, and I feel like it's pretty amazing that in like the 2 days you've known each other, like people can tell each other things about each other. I know a bunch of people's majors and different stories people have shared on the trail and all of those things, and that's really special. But to kind of go along with that being humble as part of a group, there are some skills that are really important in order to make all of this work. Because we are close together, and
That's so brave.
You'll thank me later. Maybe not for that one, but...
Lost my train of thought in bright picture taking. But anyway, we are all part of a group. We're all living close together. And I think something that's really important is something we like to call expedition behavior, and just having good expedition behavior. So basically, kind of what that means, I think Paul Petzold, he kind of described it best when he said, good expedition behavior is an awareness of the relationships which exist in the outdoors, plus the motivation and character to be as concerned for others as you are for oneself. So basically what that means is like, I, as a participant in this group, have to think about, my role and where I fit. So I have to think about, like when we were doing water filtering, I have to think about, okay, I have to be a part of this. I have to help with this because then it, helps everyone else, So like when Drake and Alice were hunting away, they were, doing this kind of self-sacrificing thing, taking on that extra little bit of work in order to benefit the whole group. And just in the way, like, one person probably took the lead in each group cooking dinner. It was kind of like an extra little bit of self-sacrificing something in order to benefit everyone. And really being in the backcountry, just doing that is so important. Just because we are all out here together, and sometimes it can be kind of hard and long days, and people are tired, and just going that extra mile and just thinking about the other people around you, and being as concerned for others, as you are for yourself. Like the people who ate like a big handful of Chex Mix, like that's, taking concern for other people, so we could get the bear cans closed, and those kind of things is just really important. And just thinking about things like, not complaining and things like that, if you do have a big problem, like a big blister on your foot or something, definitely those are things to bring up and talk about. And other people will have respect for that because they know if they were in that situation, they hope others would have empathy for them. But, complaining about things like, if it's raining or something, well, there's kind of nothing anyone can do about it. So it's better just to kind of laugh off the situation instead of just being like, I'm grumpy, everything's wet. Just try and make the best of the situation. Kat and I have this reading that we both really like, and it's kind of a funny take on expedition behavior and just that idea of, being as concerned for others as yourself. So it's a funny take on it. So I'm going to read it. It's called Expedition Behavior, The Finer Points by Howard Toon. A good expedition team is like a powerful, well-oiled, finely tuned marriage. Members cook meals together, carry burdens together, face challenges together, and finally go to bed together. A bad expedition, on the other hand, is an awkward, ugly, embarrassing thing characterized by bickering, filth, frustration, and crispy macaroni. Nearly all bad expeditions have one thing in common: poor expedition behavior. This is true even if team members follow the stated rules such as don't step on the rope, kerosene and food doesn't mix, no soap in the river, no raccoons in the tent, keep your ice axe out of my eye, etc. You guys can laugh if you think it's funny or not. Unfortunately, too many rules of expedition behavior remain unspoken. Some leaders seem to assume that their team members already have strong and generous characters like their own. But judging from a few of the campers we've encountered, here are 10 rules that ought to be spelled out. Rule number 1. In the morning, get the hell out of bed. Suppose your tent mates are up early to fetch water and fire up the stove while you are comatose in your sleeping bag. As they run an extensive equipment check, coil ropes, and fix your breakfast, they hear you start to snore. Last night, you were their buddy. Now you're drawing a list of things. They're drawing up a list of things about you to make them want to spit. They will devise cruel punishments for you. You've earned them. The team concept is now defunct. Had you gotten out of bed early, no one would have had to suffer. Rule number 2. Do not be cheerful before breakfast. Some people wake up perky and happy as fluffy bunnies. They put stress on those who wake up mean as rabid wolverines. Exploitations such as rise and shine, sugar, and greet the dawn, pumpkin, have been known to provoke pungent expletives from rabid wolverine types. These curses in turn may offend fluffy bunny types. Indeed, they're issued with sincere intent. That word is all blurred. Sorry, I don't know what that says. This was photocopied. Thus the day begins with flying fur and hurt feelings. The best early morning is simple. Be quiet and respectful. Rule number 3. Do not complain about anything ever. It's 10 below zero, visibility is 4 inches, and wind-driven hailstones are embedding themselves in your face like shotgun pellets. Must you mention it? Do you think your friends haven't noticed the weather? Make a suggestion, tell a joke, lead a prayer, but do not lodge a complaint. Your pack weighs 87 pounds and your cheap backpack straps are, surprise, surprise, cutting into your shoulders. Were you promised a personal Sherpa? Did someone cheat you out of a mule team? If you can't carry your weight, get a motorhome. Rule number 4. Learn to cook at least one thing right. One expedition trick is so old that it is no longer amusing. On the first cooking assignment, the clever cook prepares a rule that resembles, say, burnt socks and toxic waste sauce. The clever cook hopes to be relieved permanently from cooking duties. This is a childish approach to a problem that's been with us since people first started throwing dead lizards on the fire. Tricks are not a part of team spirit. If you don't like to cook, say no. So offer to wash the dishes and prepare the one thing that you do know how to cook, even if it's only tea. Remember that talented camp cooks sometimes are invited to join major expeditions in Nepal, all expenses paid. Rule number 5. Either A, shampoo, or B, do not remove your hat for any reason. After a week or so on the trail without shampooing, hair forms angry little clumps and wads. This leaves the person beneath looking like an escapee from a mental ward. Such an appearance could shake a team's confidence in your judgment. If you can't shampoo, pull a wool hat down over your ears and leave it there night and day for the entire expedition. I don't necessarily either, but that one's just try to look respectable as an outdoor person, I guess, as much as is possible. Yeah, we're wearing the same clothes for a week long, but you know how it goes.
Wear them well.
Exactly, wear them well.
Should have brought a tie.
That would have classied up the whole joint.
I already feel like, Kendall, you are really classy with your nice wool pants. I love it.
I think a tie on the plaid shirt would have just been icing on the cake.
It would have. We can make you a nature tie out of sea. help.
We might just have to do that.
Too tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little dangle, yeah.
Okay, rule number 6. Never ask where you are. If you want to know where you are, look at the map. Try to figure it out yourself. If you're still confused, feel free to try to discuss the identity of landmarks around you and how they correspond to the maps. If you A, suspect that a mistake has been made, and B, have experience in interpreting topographical maps, and C, are certain that your group leader is a novice, speak up. Otherwise, the group will follow like sheep. Rule number 7. This one's my favorite. Do not ask if anyone's seen your stuff. Experienced adventurers have systems for organizing their gear.